and Heartless. So here we go, and in game we are. Welcome back everyone to, as I was saying just before, um, game two in this best of seven series for the losers bracket round two in Clan Masters, the final showdown. We are here, but watching the point of view of Chris at the moment, and straight away I can see that we might be on an islands map. Based on the fact that I can see a little bit of water there, and what do we have? It does indeed look like we have islands. So this is the home map. This is the home map of the Aliens and Predators team, who did lose the first game in the Team Random Settings Arabia matchup. That is the game settings for the first game. So they've gone ahead and they've chosen islands, clearly thinking that they have either some sort of an advantage over their opponents, or they just want to play islands and they feel very, very comfortable on it. Bearing in mind that they can actually choose civilizations in this one, so we should be seeing some sort of a um, some strong water civilizations here. So we may as well introduce the players. So looking down at the south, oh, they're on the southern part of the map now. So on the southern edge, or the southern sort of portion of the map here, we do have the Aliens and Predators team, with Chris kicking it off on the left flank for his team, playing as the Vikings. Pretty much expected that we would see a Vikings pick on an islands map. Nothing too much to nothing too much to say there. It's more or less what we'd expect. His pocket, the Saracens player this time. No Spanish for Alive. We do have the Spanish. Sorry, the Saracen. Alive is playing in the red trunks as Chris's pocket playing as the Saracens here. His okay, that's a lot of flaring and a lot of docking from the Max, who we may as well have a wee give a wee introduction to now as well, who is playing in the teal as the Japanese. Quite a nice naval civilization, owing to the fact they do have nice cheap economic buildings, and their fishing ships are just they may as well just be fishing tanks. To be honest with you, they can just take so much fire before they go down. And that's the second pocket for the Aliens and Predators team on the south of the map, meaning that we do have the one and only Vic Vinchester playing in the purple colour out here on the right hand flank for his team, and he's playing as the Huns. So we do have Huns and Japanese and Saracens and Vikings across the from right to left across the southern sort of area of the map for the Aliens and Predators team, whereas we can see up to the northern portion of the map we have the Heartless team, and kicking it off for them we have the Hun player who is MBL playing in the grey. His pocket today for this matchup is going to be Leary, who played quite a nice game in the previous game, and he's going to be MBL's pocket this time instead of Fiage, who incidentally is not playing as a pocket either. But we'll have a quick look at the other pocket for the Heartless team, Matthias or Malcor playing in the yellow trunks as the Saracens, leaving not Vinchester, sorry, leaving Fiage playing out here on the left flank for his team as the Vikings. So it looks like everything is completely mirrored straight across the board, where we have a Viking flank against a Viking flank, with their pockets, both of their pockets being the Saracens, the other pocket being the Japanese, and the right-hand flank for both teams being the Huns. So obviously, it being a water map, we are almost definitely going to be expecting to see some sort of grushing, and a lot of people don't like water maps because they think, oh, grushing, that's all they do, they just grush, grush, grush. But I really, really like seeing grush wars and galley wars. I think it's fantastic to see how these expert players manage to keep their economy rolling so effectively and efficiently, as well as paying attention to their army at the same time, and keeping up their insane micro abilities. But it's always interesting to see where these players do decide to dock as well, and their dock positions do sort of give us an indication as to what each player is wanting to do. So we can see MBL placing a front dock here, so it looks like he might be wanting to get somewhat aggressive in the feudal age, more or less expected, seeing as he is on the right hand flank for his team. But he's chosen a pretty god awful position in terms of fish. You can see that he's got one big fish. Does he have one big fish out here, or is his fishing ship not doing anything? No, his fishing ship is not actually doing anything. So he's kind of lucked out a little bit in that respect, only being able to take shore fish out here. A better option would have been to back dock where he would have seen all this nice, delicious, nutritious fish. But it is what it is, and he's going to have to deal with the fact that he's only able to take shore fish. These wee tiddlers just sitting on the shore here. Whereas Vinchester, we can see, has decided to go for a bit more of a back dock, and you can see that he's got a lot more he's got access to a lot more deep fish. So his fishing economy, his food economy, is going to start ticking over a lot nicer than his opposing flanks, MBL. Vinchester as well has chosen a really, really nice. Sorry, not Vinchester, Fiage. Vinchester was blue last game. So we can see that Fiage has chosen a really, really nice dock position out here on the left flank for the Heartless team as well, with a lot of deep fish quite close to his initial dock position. And it is somewhat front as well, and that's quite an important. I don't know. It's sort of to the front, sort of to the back. More to the back, I guess you could say. But he has clicked up in a really, really nice time. So it looks like he will also be going for a Grush. Whereas we can see Chris, who's, even in the last game, it seemed like he wanted to play somewhat more defensively, walling up. Obviously, he was the Aztecs as a pocket, but he's also gone for a back dock here, indicating that he might not want to be too aggressive and maybe play a little bit more defensively at the start of the Feudal Age. As we can see, he's clicking up to the Feudal Age now, in fact, on a few more villages in Fiage. So Fiage has had a really, really nice Dark Age, and you can see that he's pushed in a couple of deer, and he's still got 2 sheep left over as well, and he's now starting to transition all of his villages over onto wood and gold, in preparation for that Grush that we will be expecting to see from him as he does throw down an extra couple of docks in the Feudal Age to start getting that kicking out and up and running as well. MBL also up to the Feudal Age along with Vinchester and Chris. So it looks like the flanks, as expected, have clicked up to the Feudal Age first, whereas the pockets are just going to sit back and be a little bit more passive for the time being, get out a few more fishing ships, get their economy really, really kick-started in terms of the fish. As we can see here, the Max has got out a lot more fishing ships than his flank. And the same can be said, I imagine, for... Oh, that's really, really unfortunate for Alive. He's also chosen a... Oh, it's not a terrible dock position, but taking these shorefish here, not necessarily the best in terms of efficiency for, and he's also got one fishing ship laying idle here. But here we go. The Feudal Age has now started to kick in for pretty much all the players. We see MBL and Fiage both up to the Feudal Age. So the Heartless flanks both up to the Feudal Age first, just ahead of their opposing flanks. The Max clicking up now as well. We can see Fiage throwing up his third dock, and I imagine we're going to be seeing some galleys popping out from him as well. Yep, galleys coming out straight away, and I imagine double bit hex has been done for him too. A very, very important upgrade if you are going to be going for a Grush, as you're going to need a lot of wood to be able to Grush effectively and efficiently. But Chris, also up to the Feudal Age, double bit X coming in for him, transitioned his villages over onto the resources necessary for a Grush. And is he going to be getting out some galleys? Of course he is, because it would be mad not to. So he looks like I said, he's just going to be playing somewhat defensively, setting his gather point up over toward the western flank of his island. So he's going to be able to intercept the galleys coming in from Fiage. Quick, smart, nice and easy. And he knows that Fiage has got some galleys out on the water now too, on account of his scout just being targeted down by one of Fiage's rogue galleys. And here we go. Chris is going to be in a nice position to be able to defend his economy back here. It's quite a large Grush distance for Fiage to get his galleys all the way down here, whereas Chris has only got, a hop, skip, and a jump to be able to reinforce his army. So Chris is going to be in a really nice position there as the game progresses. Also, has he got out a few more fishing ships? Yeah, he's got out quite a few more fishing ships, in fact, than what you'd expect to see on a normal 1v1 islands, and the same can be said for Fiage as well, having got out just an extra fishing ship, giving his food economy just an extra little boost, which is going to be really, really nice for him as well. Up on the top of the map, Matthias, or Melkor, is probably a bit easier to say as well. Melkor and Leary both getting a nice fish boom going on here. We can see really, really good dock positions from them, access to a lot of deep fish out here in this deep water. As there he does actually click up to the Castle Age and will be the first one to advance to help out his flank. Fiage, as he does start to push in against the animals and predators, aliens and predators team out there on the left hand flank. But I can't see any grushing coming in from the Hunnic players out here on the right hand side, which is, I guess, fair enough for Vinchester, since he did have back docks, which sort of suggested that he didn't want to play as aggressively. maybe he wanted to get a bit more of a fish boom going, and we can see he's got also managed to sneak out an extra fishing ship over what you'd normally see in a grush, but a little bit of a scuffle coming in. Both players paying attention. NBL versus Vinchester. NBL getting a nice, Vinchester getting a nice galley pick there from NBL, and NBL does look like he has the numbers advantage, or maybe it's pretty even. I'm not sure, but this is not going to be a fight that NBL is going to win too convincingly, seeing as though the defender's advantage is going to be kicking in for Vinchester, as he does have his docks a lot closer to the battleground, I guess you could say, than NBL does. But NBL redocking out here on the eastern flank of his island, managing to get access to a few more deep fish. And this is a really, really nice move from Chris as well, managing to get right into the pockets fish economy here, picking off, I think, maybe 2, maybe 3 fishing ships from Leary, but Leary getting out a few defensive galleys. No fletching done yet for his galleys, but fletching has been done for Chris. But again, defender's advantage is going to mean that Leary is going to be able to push this back, without too much of a trouble, as VH does start pushing in against the galleys here from Chris as well, but nothing too much to say about that, as VH does retreat out of there. Vinchester actually Xing quite a bit, so he's Xing the fact that there is a bit of a scuffle coming down here, letting Max know where he should start sending his galleys. And it looks like his galley's trying to get over there, but blocked by his huge array of fishing ships that he's got up here now. We can see the Castle Age having now kicked in for Leary. Bodkin Arrow War Galley kicking in now. Really, really nice timing for him. As the Max does start pushing out against with his Japanese galleys as well, maybe looking to start putting the smack down, making the damage out here on Leary. But it'll be interesting to see how that one does actually play out. He's also sending some galleys over here to Vinchester, as Vinchester throws down his 4th dock, I believe. A little bit of a scuffle out here on the western flank as well. Melkor a little bit slower than his teammate, or than his fellow pocket, being able to advance to the Castle Age even, but he should still be in a good position to be able to push it, to be able to push this back. And Leary managing to trap or to corner this galley from alive, who's actually been somewhat quiet. He has clicked up to the Castle Age now. In fact, he's going to reach it right now. But yeah, Leary's Alive even has been somewhat quiet, especially, I suppose, considering he's only just managed to get up to the Castle Age now. But we can see the galleys pushing in from the Max, and it's going to be interesting to see if Leary does notice this. He's getting a few free hits taken on this front galley, and this could be really, really nice for Max, as he manages to start getting a few pot shots on these galleys, just weakening them as Leary does send them out to try and start taking part in the fights down here on the eastern flank of the map, as the Max and Vinchester do start to push in against MBL and Leary, and it looks like the team on the south, the Aliens and Predators team, are going to be in a nice position to be able to at least hold this line until Vinchester does manage to click up to the Castle Age. Oh, there we go. He's actually up to the Castle Age now. Chris is also up to the Castle Age, and his food economy has really started to kick in and pay off overtime. With this extra fish that he has, you can see he's nearly sitting on 1k food, even after having clicked up to the Castle Age. And that's really, really strong from him. The Viking economy as well is just so strong, and really, really nice to have in your team. And here we go, the Max just kind of hightailing it out of there with his galleys, because he knows that he's not going to be able to do too much damage against all the army that his opponents do have out there at the back of their base. But now all players except for MBL is a little bit slower up to the Castle Age, only a 1934 click, but this is going to be a really, really good position for the aliens and Predators team out here on the south of the map, as Vinchester and Max group their galleys together. I say that, and Max starts peeling some of his galleys away, but yeah, it looks like Vinchester and Max are going to be able to start making a nice push against the Navy here from Leary and MBL. Although +2 Bodkin Arrow has not actually notably been done for Vinchester yet. I'm not sure whether or not he's foregoing that in terms of in favour of an early ballistics, but an early ballistics is indeed incoming for Vinchester, as we can see in the top right hand corner of your screen there, and that's going to provide a really nice upgrade for these galley fights, where using a runner or any sort of tricks like that MBL and Leary might have up their sleeve is not going to be as effective when Ballistics kicks in for Vinchester, who still does not have +2. I really hope he gets that soon, because that's going to mean these fights are going to be so much easier to take. But Vinchester, even as I say that, Vinchester and Max are starting to push in really, really strong now as well, managing to take the fight straight to the docks of MBL, and MBL losing quite a few of his fishing ships, pretty much all of his fishing ships but one. The armies from Vinchester and Max are a little bit split up now, which is not exactly what you want to see when you're making a really nice aggressive push like this. And it's going to be good if they can take down the galleys from MBL before MBL manages to get up to the castle age. He's into the castle age now, but it will be interesting to see how many of his galleys do survive to make that war galley upgrade worth it. Whereas out on the western flank of the map, we do see Chris starting to try and test the waters, as it were, pushing out against the almighty navy that we do see here from Fiage and who is it? Fiage and Melkor. And Chris is thinking, nope, that water's a little bit too hot for my taste. I'm from Canada. I don't know what hot weather is. I don't know what warm water is. I'm gonna get the heck back to my docks where I can try and hold my position, hold my line a bit better. But MBL and Leary out here on the eastern flank, looking like they are going to be in a good position to at least hold their line back here. MBL is going to have a few of his docks whittled down, and the Max and Vinchester could move around to the west just a little bit and manage to take down the another dock from MBL. And alive, the player who's been somewhat quiet as of late, is maybe not communicating with Chris so much, or maybe he's just not really kicking into high gear yet. But Chris is starting to push out again, and he's just going to run into an absolute wooden wall of war galleys here from Fiage and Melkor. And Alive is sending his galleys more or less the wrong way. A pincer move maybe would have been a really, really nice, a nice strategical implementation to see there, but no, he's starting to get out of there. Melkor's starting to retreat as well. Doesn't really want to take that fight if he can help it, because there's no point, I guess. Whereas Fiage is like, no, 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 go, go, go. We can take this fight. Push, push, push. And a little bit of miscommunication there maybe from those two players, as the Red Saracen player for the Aliens and Predators team down on the south of the map, Alive, does finally manage to find his galleys in amongst all of Chris's, which is going to be really nice for them if they do finally decide to push in against their opponents. But Leary's starting to push out now as well, with a frightening number of galleys. The galleys from Vinchester, yeah, they did move around, and they are going to start taking down this dock from MBL, whereas his galleys might be better spent, or better used even, down here. Where the galleys from Leary are starting to push in from. But this could be a really, really nice pincer move if Leary, not Leary, if the Max and Vinchester are communicating, as there's not too many flares at the moment, but there's a transport ship. Transport ship has been taken down from MBL, so we see that MBL is preparing stables, which is more or less what you'd expect to see when you do start to lose water. And MBL has actually managed to get a few transport a few knights across onto Max's island here, and a siege workshop and a quick wall coming in from the Max, and maybe going to patch these walls up here as well, so these knights are not going to be able to do as much damage as MBL maybe had hoped initially. But another little kerfuffle, another little scuffle coming in here between the galleys of Max and Leary managing to be pushed away. And here we go, the pincer move. This is what I wanted to see before. If only all of Vinch's galleys were over here taking the fight, this would be such a nice position for... Oh, the Max has gone back, and he's just... Oh, no. That was a little bit of poor communication, I guess, but that's fine. And this is what we wanted to see. This is an absolutely huge galley fight, but at first glance, it looks like Fiage and Melkor do have the numbers advantage here. You can see that is a huge number of galleys. Alive and Chris, it's really hard to tell when they all stack up on top of each other like this, but it just does not look like Chris and what's his name? Chris and Alive do have the galley numbers here to take this fight, as the Max and Alive both click up to the Imperial Age even in relatively similar times. And yeah, like I said, Chris is being forced back, Alive being forced back here as well. And maybe this is part of their strategy, more or less. Try and the Alien and Predator strategy, just try and let Alive not participate so much in the Castle Age, and just, you know, have more or less a little bit more of a boom-oriented approach, so he can get up to the Imperial Age and just steamroll all of the all of the economy from his opponents in that way. And this is a nice little move here as well. Chris bringing in a battering ram here to try and attract some of the arrow fire from the galleys from the shoreline. But Chris doesn't want to lose his docks. He doesn't want to have to start rebuilding his docks like he is now. So he's tentatively pushing out against this huge navy from Fiage and Melkor. But that's going to be a really, really poor decision from him if he does continue through with it. And Vinchester now starting to get up a few docks out the front of his base as well. Leary moving around. He's going to be able to stop. Maybe deny the stock. Yeah, this dock's going to be denied from Vinchester. But a lot of the navy here from Max and Vinchester are actually at the back of their islands, which is, it's all well and good defending all these docks back here, but if you want to start making a push and start, you know, putting the pressure on your opponents, you kind of need them out on the front. But maybe they're probably just playing the patient game, the long game. And we can see more rams coming in now for Chris as well. Such a cheeky and clever tactic, just to try and attract some of the arrow fire from these galleys from his opponents, as the galleys from Max do start pushing around to meet up with Vinchester's out the front of MBL's and Vinch's base. So we'll see if we can spot any more transports coming in as well. I do want to quickly switch to Vinch's point of view because I thought maybe a transport ship would be coming in from this dock, but it doesn't look like that's going to eventuate into anything. And it looks like the knights from MBL that we're roaming around Max's base as well have been picked off pretty quick smart. Which is more or less what we expected to see when the quick walls were coming in. When the quick walls are coming in, Max up to the Imperial Age now, along with Alive, and Galleon and Brace are coming in for both of them. And maybe this could be a good fight to try and hold back and wait. Oh, okay, but Leary's going back, so this is a really good time. This is a really, really good time for Max and Vinchester to start pushing in. Leary is not going to be able to hold the line against Galleons and Bracer, Galleons with Bracer, as well as the War Galley army from Vinchester. And Alive now also getting Galleon. You can see it kicking in. Has it kicked in? No, it has not kicked in. I thought Galleon. Yep, Galleon's coming in. Bracer having been done now, though, for Alive with the +3 coming in, or having already been done, rather. And this is actually a frighteningly big navy from the Japanese player Max as he starts to push out into the center of the map to see what sort of damage he can do more closer to the hearts of his opponent's economy. And Max also flaring the center island, which it looks like he has got some sort of an idea as to what's going on. Well, he knows that there is a center island here and there could be extra, or there are extra resources on it, and that would be a really, really nice, a nice addition to his team. Yeah, but this is also a frighteningly big army from Fiage and Melkor, both of whom even, up to the Imperial Age now as well, against Chris, who is also up to the Imperial Age, Vinchester up to the Imperial Age, everyone up to the Imperial Age, even MBL. MBL is doing well. He's lost the water early on, but he's managing to pull himself in by getting a bit of a land-based boom. Hoping that he's not going to be out of the game and leave all the fighting on this eastern flank to his ally Leary here. But this is going to be a big fight once. I think, yeah, Melkor and Fiage are just wanting to go back at the moment, waiting for the Imperial Age upgrade, waiting for Galleon, waiting for Bracer, waiting for chemistry, all those sorts of important upgrades before they want to take this fight. Even though, to be fair, numbers-wise, they could still take this fight pretty convincingly, but maybe they just want to be extra sure, and why not? It is a tournament game for Clan Masters, so be sure about it. Just fall back, and hold, and then push out when you have the upgrades. But here we go, the Max pushing out now as well with his absolutely gigantic horde of Japanese galleons, and this is fantastic to see. He's managing to take down town centers from Leary. From the shoreline, and this is more or less what this is such a clever move, because Leary out here on the eastern side of the eastern side of the map is the only person. MBL's not on water. MBL's starting to get back on water with some war galleys here, but he's more or less not really on the water. Leary is the only one out here. So if Max can, strike a dagger to the heart of Leary's economy and start taking down the docks or the villages or just any sort of economy from Leary, it's going to slow down his naval production, and ultimately him and Vinchester out here on the right hand side are going to be in such a good position. And we can see now, oh my goodness, there's so many galleys. Galleon having been done for the Viking player here. Galleon coming in for Melkor and Bracer. Fiage and Melkor now going to look to start pushing out against this sort of meager army that we can see here from Alive and Chris. And this is not going to be they're not going to be in a good position on this left hand side, I don't think. We can see this is just going to be an absolute not really a bloodbath because you're not going to see any blood. Maybe a wood bath, I guess you should say. There's going to be an absolute wood bath out here on the left-hand side. The Max also just roaming around. He'll be able to take this fight against the galleons, the Japanese galleons from his opposing pocket here. But Leary does have a frighteningly big navy out here on the right-hand side as well, just sort of roaming around the tip of Vinchester's island, not really doing much. But Vinchester now pushing out with his just turned galleons as well, as Max was Xing just before. Alive pushing out, trying to get a little bit of harassment onto Fiage's economy, but Fiage seems to be somewhat aware to it, seeing as though he has got something garrisoned inside this town centre. Maybe it's full, maybe he just hasn't noticed too much, but it looks like Max is starting to push out really, really heavily on the right-hand side, also going straight up this narrow choke point, trying to push into the galleons from MBL and Leary as well as over on the left-hand side where we do have, wow, Chris's army, Chris's navy seems to have, maybe it's because galleons have bigger sails, but it seems like Chris's army has actually gotten a lot bigger in the past like 30 seconds since when we last saw. But at the same time, Fiage bringing over his absolutely gigantic navy from the right-hand side, and this is going to be the fight of all fights, I think. This is one of the biggest galleon fights even that I've seen in so long. But again, like I said, the numbers, it's hard to tell when they stack up on each other like this, but it looks like the numbers here from Fiage and Melkor is going to be too much for Chris to be able to handle. I'm not really sure where Alive is. Alive is bringing in a small contingency of his of his naval fleet over from the right-hand side. He's going to be met with some resistance from Fiage as he does try to push through that narrow choke point to be able to help out his ally here. But this was a big play from Melkor and Fiage as they managed to group together and push against one opponent at a time. Whereas out on the right-hand side, Max and Vinchester being pushed back. MBL doing really well to get back on the water in such substantial numbers. Vinchester got a few galleons pushing out on the right-hand side, but that's not really where he needs them to be. This army this naval army, I guess you could say, from Leary and MBL managing to push back Max and Vinchester, and that was a really, really nice victory, especially since their teammates are losing quite substantially. Quite substantially out here on the eastern flank as well. Chris putting up a defensive castle, just something to fall back to, offering a little bit more protection to his offering a little bit more protection. And I can hear rams somewhere, but I don't know where they are. I'm sure I just heard rams. I'm not sure, but this... Oh, there it is right there. Okay, yep. So Chris managed to land a capped ram across onto the docks of Fiage here. And it looks like... Oh, the ram survived, so that's going to be a really, really nice addition to... a nice little kind of kick in the teeth to Fiage, I guess you could say, as this capped ram is going to be able to start pushing in and start taking down these docks. As Fiage brings in another lone villager to start battering it down, and also bring in his navy to scare away the navy of Alive, so that his villager can go ahead and do that peacefully. Alive getting into the back of the economy here as well, the fish economy here from Melkor, but he spotted that out and he's sending back some galleons quick smart to stamp that little rebellion out. And in the castle out here on the western flank of Chris's base being denied, a lot of villagers having gone down here as well. Brave souls trying to get the castle up, but no such luck. And here we go, Vinchester and the Max now starting to take a little bit more presence, a little bit more control back on this right hand side. As they do manage to push back the navy here from Melkor, not Melkor, sorry, MBL and Leary. Max paying a little bit of tribute to Vinchester potentially. Are we seeing anything else? But we're seeing a transport ship and we're seeing some siege rams being loaded up into those transport ships. We can already see a siege ram over here on the island of MBL, and MBL doesn't really have anything to defend his economy against siege. I suppose he's got villages and he's got a couple of stables, but it's still going to be quite a difficult position for MBL to defend against that if he's only got villages that he's relying on to batter down the siege rams. And it looks like in this narrow choke point is where the Max and Vinchester. Where are you going, Vinch? No. Come up here and push. Okay, I was going to say, it looks like this narrow choke point seems to be the place that Max and Vinchester have chosen to make their stand and push in against their opponents finally, but no such luck having been done there. And like I said, this defensive castle on the shoreline here for Chris, a really, really nice addition. It just gives a nice sort of safe haven for his galleons and Alive's galleons to fall back to if they do start to get pushed off the water, as they do start to get pushed back, as might be happening here as well, as a huge naval fleet here from Fiage and Melkor do push in again. Galleons, everyone, even on upgrades, I can only imagine Yeah, it seems like everyone's even on upgrades. As we see Cannon Galleon coming in from VH, a really, really nice addition. Going to start looking to take down this castle first and foremost, and then push in and start just whittling away at the economy from Chris here. As we see out here on the right-hand side, the eastern flank starting to get a little bit pressure now as well. Siege rams having been dropped across onto one of the additional resource-rich islands here from from the purple Hunnic player Vic Winchester, and Samurai popping out of the castle from Leary, but it looks like with the galleons here also firing down upon the villages and the samurai that pop out of this castle. That castle's going to fall pretty effectively and pretty easily, and now no, all Leary and MBL have, it looks like this is their whole army. No, I'm wrong, because MBL is sending out a small cheeky fleet out here toward the the eastern side of MBL. Winchester's island, but Winchester and Max are aware to it, and they're managing to push back against that as well. Winchester and Max are playing such a nice game, but it's saying that Alive might be starting to kick into the game now as he starts sending some of his Saracen galleons pushing in through the center of the map, maybe looking to get a little bit more support out here on the right-hand side, as Chris does seem to be, okay-ish for the time being. Has his castle been taken down out here? No, his castle still stands there. Cannon galleons. Where are the cannon galleons from Age? I don't see any cannon galleons from Age just yet, but I imagine they'll be coming in very, very soon just to start taking down these pesky castles that are just littering the shoreline of Chris's base, or Chris's island rather. And like I said, Max managing to push back quite nicely. Max and Winchester pushing back quite nicely against the little counterattack, I guess you could say, the wee raid that MBL was sending out just a moment ago. And I've got to say, it does look... I don't know. I'd have to give, personally, the slight advantage to... the slight advantage would have to go to the team on the north for me, just because once VH does start getting out these cannon galleons, these castles are not going to stand up to too much cannon fire from from VH, and then it's just going to make it so much easier to push in and saying that I'm wrong. So there we go. It looks like they just can't hold the right-hand side, and Aliens and Predators taking the second match. I thought that maybe they were in a better position, but turns out I was wrong. Alive pushing in through the center. MBL holding in the middle. Winchester and Max. I don't know. Okay. In my opinion, I mean, I thought Fiage and Melkor had a pretty good hold in the center, but I guess Alive was starting to kick through with the Saracen Galleons and getting a nice number up as well, whereas MBL was starting to get a little bit more annoying and start pushing in through the center, and they were holding this choke point quite nicely as well. So I guess well played to Aliens and Predators, showing us why this islands map is indeed their home, why this is their home map. So well played to them. Well played to the Heartless guys as well. Yep, cool, awesome. So game 2 goes to Aliens and Predators. So we'll quickly come out of the game now, and I'll just load up the next game after I grab a quick drink. And it looks like, okay, just having a quick look at the dropped frames. I still don't have many dropped frames, but okay, cool. Well, I'll quickly turn on the music, and I'll grab a quick drink, and we'll be into game number 3 very, very soon. So stay tuned, don't go away.